Fedrigoni 365 2021, working with extended Colour Gamut, ECG colours. TM Studio had a vision to use bold, beautiful ECG colours in the designs for the 2021 Fedrigoni 365 calendar. Ricoh understood that by combining the CMY and neon toners on the Ricoh Pro C7200X, these bold, beautiful colours could be realised. The challenge for Ricoh and TM Studio was, as neon colours cannot be proofed accurately on screen, how would TM Studio initially choose the colours they wished to use and also visualise what the colours would look like when printed? To support TM Studio's bold vision, Ricoh supplied TM Studio with a new Touch 7 colour guides. This set of 4 colour guides contains over 1,500 ECG colours, all in chromatic order, along with the CMY plus neon colour recipe. This allowed the team at TM Studio to make colour selections for the 365 calendar with a high degree of confidence that the selections they made would be reproduced accurately in the final product. It also allowed TM Studio to list the selections they made by reference code. These codes could then be communicated not only to the print production team, who were responsible for producing the 365 calendar, but also to the software team, who were responsible for dynamically generating all of the artwork. Let's look at the bold, beautiful colours chosen. The colours were split into neon yellow and neon pink base colours. And there were 10 colours chosen for the text block. And those same 10 colours were also used on the cover in combination with another 10 colours to create the gradient colour pairs on the cover. Once the colours had been selected by TM, we then had to make a decision on how we could control the selection of colours within the data file. We decided to allocate the colours in blocks of 8 records, as this was the optimum number of calendar book blocks to maximise production efficiency. As there are 10 colours allocated for the calendar book block, each data file was split into 80 records. As the Pro C7200 has only 5 colours, we also had to consider not mixing neon yellow and neon pink designs into the same calendar block and cover, as this could have caused significant problems within production. Once the colours for the 365 project had been chosen by TM Studio, our next challenge was to decide on how we could easily colorise the monochrome designs into all Touch 7 colours chosen by TM Studio. The traditional method of colorising images would be to either use Adobe InDesign or Adobe Illustrator. We are now going to look at 2 short videos that run through the process within Adobe InDesign and Adobe Illustrator. Within Adobe InDesign, you have to create mixed ink swatches, and within Adobe Illustrator, you have to create graphic styles for each Touch 7 colour you wish to use. Here you can see that I've got the Adobe InDesign swatches panel already open, and I've already created some of the special colours, the Touch 7 colours. And I've already created the neon pink and the neon yellow as well. But if we just have a quick look at the neon pink and neon yellow, you can see that actually I've created this as a spot with the LAB values. And it's actually important to use the LAB values for the neon pink and the neon yellow, because it gives you the best visual representation of what the colour is going to look like on screen. So let's create a new colour. So we select new mixed ink swatch, and then give the colour its logical name. And then we can see here that it's 0 cyan, 0 magenta, 100% yellow. So select that, and then neon pink is 70%. So we're going to click add. I could then create another color, but I'm just going to click done. So here you can see my color in the swatch. So I'm just going to drag that into here just to keep it neat and tidy. So what we need to do now is apply that color to the grayscale TIFF file. So you can see here that this is a 300 ppi grayscale TIFF file. So it's important to make sure that the fill is selected, not the stroke. So we select the image box itself, and then select paper, and then we select the image inside the box, and then we select the color. And then what you would do is save that as a PDF file for the project, but then you would have to repeat that process for all 10 colors for the text block, And then as there was 1,000 plus images as the target for the project, you would have to repeat this 1,000 plus times. So that's 10,000 times in total. So you can see it's not an ideal solution for creating the colors for the 365 calendar project. Look at Adobe Illustrator. In Adobe Illustrator, we're going to have to take a different approach to Adobe InDesign. So let's first look at the swatches panel. As you can see here, there is no option for new mixed ink swatch. So what we're going to have to do is create something called a graphic style, first of all. So to do that, I'm just going to create a box that we're not going to use afterwards, but we need to do this to create a graphic style. So we're going to fill that box with the yellow, and if we check here, we can see that it's 100% yellow. And then what we need to do is duplicate that color. So we've now got another fill underneath, and basically with that fill selected, we select the neon pink, and then what we need to do is change that to the correct value. So that's going to be 70%, as you can see here for this color. But also we need to make sure that the top color is set to overprint. And you can see here now, because I've got my overprint preview selected on, I can now see this beautiful orange color. So if I turn that off, you will only see the yellow. So if you only see the yellow, just make sure you've got overprint preview selected. So now I need to create a graphic style from that. So all I need to do is actually just drag that box, drag that box into the graphic style palette. I can now delete that box, and then I can give that graphic style a logical name so I can identify it. So now what I can do is actually select the image and apply the graphic style. So I would have to create a graphic style for all 10 of the colors in the project, and then obviously repeat that process 10 times for each image. So 1,000 plus images is 10,000 times. Obviously, probably not an ideal solution. In Illustrator, it might be possible to script some of this, but again, if there was any changes to any of the colors for whatever reason, the agency changed their mind, you would have to then go back and repeat it and change all the images that you'd already done. So not the perfect solution. So in summary, using the traditional method, we would have to manually colorize each design 10 times and then save each color rendering as an individual PDF file. We would then have to repeat this process for every design received for the project. With a target of over 1,000 designers, this would mean manually creating over 10,000 PDF files. We then investigated the possibility of using in-focus pit stop to change the color of the images and graphics to the chosen Touch 7 colors. The reasoning behind this was that we could leave all of the original designs as monochrome and change the colors in the pre-press stage. The benefits would be fewer files to manage in the variable data stage, as well as being able, if needed, to make late stage changes to the color choices. Adobe Acrobat Pro, you can see here we've got an image on the left and a vector graphic on the right. And during our testing, we thought it would be good to have a predefined spot color that we could assign to the project, so we could change that color. So that means that all the designers would submit their artwork using a predefined spot color. So you can see here these predefined as T7 generic. And what we've got is an action over here that's going to, if we open the action up, we're going to look for T7 generic, and then we're going to change the fill and the stroke to an N channel color. So we've already created the color. It's in the focus pit stop color library. You can see we've created all those colors. So let's just run that action. And you can see here it's successfully changed the vector graphic, but the image is not changed at all. So we found this as a limitation of this approach. So let's explore that further in the next slides. It was found that this approach would work with graphics and text, but not images. Further investigation with Adobe and InFocus found that the ability to colorize grayscale images with the device N or N-channel color is not currently supported by Adobe Acrobat or InFocus PitStop software. We decided to carry out further testing with InFocus PitStop as it would give us the most flexibility within the production workflow. We found that even though there was a limitation in PitStop when trying to apply a device N or N-channel color to an image, you could remap the color of an image from one spot color to another spot color. We're in Adobe Acrobat Pro and we've got the InFocus PitStop action window open. Here again we've got the image that we've been using for testing. And this image has got a spot color T7 generic applied to it. So we're going to look at see if we can remap that separately. So if we look at this action here, you can see it's going to look for T7 generic, and then it's going to remap that spot color to another spot color. So we're going to give it T7P070, but what we're only going to do is map the CMYK portion of that, so just the yellow, because we previously discovered we can't do the yellow and the neon at the same time. And then we're going to also look at seeing if we can separately map. So we're going to select the T7 generic again, but then we're going to remap that to another spot color, and we're going to just name it T7 neon pink. And we're just going to give it again CMYK values because it doesn't matter, because on the press it will automatically select the neon pink. But just as an observation, if we go in here, we can't select, just move that into here, even though we've got the neon pink in the library, we can't select it. The OK button is grayed out, so PitStop doesn't allow you to use that. Anyway, so let's see how we go on. So if we now select this one and click Run, you can see that we can remap to the neon separately. And if we run that one, you can see we can remap to the yellow. So we can do the CMYK and the device N, the neons, as separate entities. So that gives us an idea on how we can find a way forward. As a reminder, in Adobe Illustrator, you need to create a graphic style for each of the Touch 7 colors. In essence, these graphic styles are just two colors, one on top of the other, with the top color set to overprint the bottom color. If we could apply this same approach to the images, we may be able to automate the changing of the colors using an InFocus PitStop action. To achieve this, we would need to define two new default spot colors to use with the images. One spot color for the top image and one spot color for the bottom image. We could then use InFocus PitStop action to automatically remap the original spot colors to the new spot colors. Let's look at how we can implement what we learned during the testing. So we start off with a grayscale TIFF file. We need to duplicate and stack the grayscale image and apply two different spot colors, one for the top image and one for the bottom image. We define the two spot colors as T7 top and T7 base. We then need to remap T7 top to the relevant CMY value for the chosen Touch 7 color and T7 base for the relevant neon color, e.g. T7P070. So in this example, T7 top is remapped to the CMY value for T7P070, which is 100% yellow, and T7 base is remapped to 100% T7 neon pink. We then need to change the density of the T7 neon pink to the correct value for the chosen T7 color, which in the example shown is 70% T7 neon pink. The reason for this second action is that PitStop does not allow you to remap the color and change the density in one action. We now have our image in the chosen color. It could not be predicted what percentage of the designs would be submitted as images versus graphics, so we needed to reduce the time taken for the image stacking process. We decided to create an Adobe Illustrator action to automate the image stacking and spot naming process. A look at the Adobe Illustrator action that we created to automate the image stacking process. So this supports TM Studio to improve time taken and accuracy. So here we are on the Adobe Illustrator interface, and on the right hand side here we've got the Actions panel with the action open, and on the left hand side here we've got the Appearance panel where you can see the fill and stroke and the overprint settings, and then you can see here we've also got the Swatches panel open, and we've already created the T7 base, T7 generic and T7 top. We've got the Transform panel and the Layers panel open, and the reason these are open and these are open so you can see what's going on when the script is running. So I'll just talk through it first of all. So when we've placed the image, what the first thing it's going to do is set the X coordinate to 0 and then the Y coordinate to 0. So this is placing the image very accurately on the artboard. And the reason being is that you don't want the images misaligned, because that's going to cause you issues with color, etc. But also it's going to save time for the creative. They don't have to worry about it. It's going to do it for them. And then it's going to apply the T7 base to the image. And then what it's going to do is duplicate that whole image. And then now the top image, it will apply the T7 top, and it will then set the fill to overprint. And then it's going to open up a Save As dialog to allow you to save it as a PDF. And once you've done that, it will carry on and select everything on the artboard and clear it and start at the beginning. And so that means that the artboard is clear, ready to do the next image. So let's place an image. And we'll run through it in a slow motion, so it's got a 3-second delay on it. So let's click Start. So you can see here it's now going to set, if you look at the Transform panel, the X coordinate to 0 and then the Y coordinate to 0. And we now look here, it's setting the first color. It's now duplicated, and it's now going to set the second color, and it will now change the overprint up here. And now it's going to open up a Save As dialog. We click Save As PDF. Click Save As. And then here's the PDF. And now what we can do is quickly look in the output preview, and you can see here that there's no CMY in there at all. So we've got T7 base and T7 tops. Let's turn that one off, and then you can see the other images underneath. So you can see that's very easy. So let's now run that at full speed. So I'm just going to change the playback options. At the moment it's set for a pause for 3 seconds, and I'm just going to do it on full speed. So let's place the image again. And we run the script. And you can see it's very fast. And done. So the next step really would be, obviously if this was the real book, we would be running this through a pit stop action to change the color, but we'll do that and we'll show that in another movie. And we're using the same two designs that we used earlier on. We've got the image on the left and the graphic on the right. The only difference to the earlier file is we've now got 3 spot colors, 2 of which are used for the image on the left, T7 top, T7 base, as you saw in the previous slide, and T7 generic is used for graphics and text. So let's have a look at the action. So let's open up this action. And the first thing we're going to do is select the spot color T7 base, and then we're going to remap that to T7 neon pink, give it a CMYK value. We're then going to select T7 top and then remap that to this touch 7 color with the correct value for the CMY value for that color. And then what we're going to do is select the T7 neon pink that we created or remapped earlier, and we're going to change that to now the correct transparency value for that touch 7 color. Then we're going to select T7 generic and change the fill and stroke for the correct fill and stroke for that touch 7 color. So let's just run this action. And you can see now that the graphic has changed and it's showing the right colours. The image on the left is not actually showing the correct colour, it's just showing the top colour. That's because of the way that the overprint works in Acrobat, and when you save the file and reopen it, you'll actually see the correct value. So we just show you one we did earlier. You can see here this actually displays correctly. So let's now talk about these actions. As you saw in a very early slide, we had actually assigned numbers to the colors in the database. And what that will allow us to do is also do that as part of the actions as well. So we can have full records 1 to 8. We can have the right color. So in this case, it's Y780, and then 9 to 16 is Y180, 17 to 24, and so on, up through 80, and then the process repeats itself again. And what this allows us to do is create then hot folders and processes using pitstop server. So if we have this Touch 7 color in the file name, when we generate the file, we know then which process to route the file through to generate all the correct colors. Have a look at how we apply those actions to one of the final book blocks that we created. Now here you can see that we've actually got one of the text blocks. So when we create the file, we give it a naming convention. So text defines that's the text block. 2896 defines that that's actually the record number. So we know that's record 2896 out of 4000. We also then give it the value for the Touch 7 color that we want to use for the text block, and the underscore one is just a control value. So if we look at, say, perhaps the covers, you can see here that we've got cover, and we've also got a value in there for the covers. So we have this defined naming convention that runs the automation in the workflow. So let's open that file up. I'll just make the page file smaller and just quickly open the thumbnails view. So let's have a look at this file and discuss this file. So you can see here we've got the T7 generic base and top in there, but we've also got a neon yellow spot color as well, and in the neon pink files would have neon pink, and I'll explain why. So let's look at one of the colors. So this T7Y038 is actually a variable. It's actually a PDF file that gets pulled in during composition along with the color on the next page, and Y180 is actually, as you saw in the file name, this is the color for the book block. And what we don't want to do is change this color when we run the action to change all the other pages. So we've given this, you can see here, it's 100% neon yellow. So we use a different spot naming convention for the neon toners for those two images as compared to the rest of the images where we're going to use the T7 neon yellow or T7 neon pink. So let's have a look at one of the other pages. Here we've got a solid color, and that's T7 generic because that's actually a variable color as well. So we want to change that whole page to a solid background color. And you can see here's another one. Let's have a look at one of the images. You can see this is actually a graphic, and that will change. Let's look at an image, and this is actually an image. You can see here is T7 base, T7 top, T7 base, and so on. You get the idea. And then when we get through into, this is February, and you can see it's a solid color again, and then as the next page, and so on throughout the file. So as you saw in the file name, this particular book block needs to be T7Y180. So what would happen is that file using Batch Builder would get pushed through into pitstop server in through the right process automatically, and then the process would run. So let's run the process. So you can see the pitstop action is started. It's got to do all 416 pages, so it will take a little while, but you can see on this page it's already changed that graphic to the right color. So it's reasonably quick. I'm just running this on a desktop machine, so it would be faster on a server. And now that's completed. So if we go back to, say, one of these solid pages, you can see now that where that was looked like a solid magenta, and that's changed to green. We haven't affected this color or these colors because they're using a different value. You can see now any graphic is changed and displaying the right color. You can look at February again. You can see that's now correct. Images don't display correctly until you save, but if we saved this file and then reopened it, you would actually see that would be looking like correct green. So there we go. Working closely with and fully understanding the brief from TM Studio very early on was critical to the success of the Fedrigoni 365 2021 calendar project. Not only did the use of Touch 7 color guides help TM Studio choose the colors they wished to use for the project, they also helped in the planning and implementation of the variable data and production workflows. This is because we were able to clearly communicate the colors needed by using the Touch 7 reference numbers from start to finish. There were some significant challenges to overcome to deliver the final product, but this project highlights that close cooperation between agencies and PSPs can successfully deliver highly complex projects. Thank you for your time.